Hi everyone, I'm Paul with MadCap Software. Going to talk to you in this video about image maps in MadCap Flare. So this is a really cool little feature that allows you to draw different sections on an existing image that you have in your Flare project and then create links in those little places so that people can click on different parts of the image and open up different topics or different things. Now, most of the online outputs in Flare support this, especially HTML5, which is the one that we recommend that people use. What I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to first start out by showing you how to create image maps, and then we'll go in how to edit things. And then finally, I'll follow up at the end with some things to consider if you're going to implement image maps. Now, if you have created a Flare project already, you know that when you go through the wizard, there are all kinds of project templates that you can select. And a couple of these, most of these are pretty basic, have basic content in them. There are a couple e-learning project templates that actually have this feature in it. And I'm going to go in there and show you now so that we're all on the same page. You know what I'm talking about. Now, when you get into Flare and you open up the new project wizard and you get to these factory templates, you're going to see there's an e-learning one here under online and another one here, e-learning and PDF. And I'm just showing you these because these are the project templates that already have this image map in it as an example. So I've actually already created a couple of simple projects with each one of these. And I'm going to go in, this is one right here. And if I open up this topic right here, hotspot pop-ups, you're going to see an image map in here. It's this right here. Now this, don't let this confuse you. The fact that I have a map of Austin, Texas, the fact that I have a map as my image has nothing to do with this. The image can be anything. It could be some graphic that you created, some photo, doesn't matter. Anything where you want to identify certain areas of that image and let people click it. So all I did was I created this, I got an image of Austin, Texas, of the map, and then I just drew these little circles on here, which is what I want people to click on. And let's go ahead and build the output really quickly here so that we can just see how it works in the project template. And what I did in this particular project was I created pop-ups. That's why that topic is called topic pop-ups, although I probably should use the term image map in there as well. And this is the topic that you get to. And it's telling you here, click on the numbered circles on the map to learn about each. You click on one and it brings up a pop-up. And that's a separate topic in there. Okay, so people can click in there and read about that. And they can go to the second one, same thing, and the third one. So that's just basically what I did in there. So you can see that this topic right here is this one. And then I've got these other ones, State Capitol, Zilker Park, Lady Bird Lake. And these exist so that when you click those pop-ups, those parts of the image map, those things open. That's just how I did it. That's one way to do it. So just so that you have a frame of reference here, and we'll come back to this and look at a few things I did. We're going to use this as an example. I'm actually going to open up here in the next section. I'm going to open up a plain project where I don't have this already, and I'm going to create it from scratch so you can see how it works. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Let's look at creating image maps. Okay, so how did I create that image map, and how can you create an image map? Let's go back into Flare. I'm going to go into this other little project, and let's just start from the beginning. Now, here's my little project, and you can see over on the left, I just created 4 topics in here, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I open up this first one, you can see I don't really have anything in there. It's just the default text. But let's say I want to use this as the main topic where the image map exists, and then I'm going to point to topics 2, 3, and 4 to open those up on parts of the image map. So I'm going to press enter here, and I already went and I got that same image, and I'm just going to drag it into here. And there it is. And so notice it doesn't have the numbers on there. The way that I did that was I used MadCap Capture, and you can use any image, tool that you want to use. I like to use MadCap Capture. One of the reasons is because I can just right click on this, and it has this nice little option in here, edit with MadCap Capture, and then it just opens it up in there, and then I can do whatever I want. So what I did originally with this is I went up into the toolbar and Capture, and I used this little oval, and I just drew a circle in here, and I double clicked it. So you're kind of getting a little lesson in Capture while we're doing this thing. So I just filled it with red, and then went into rich text and enter the number 1, and I'm going to make that white so that it's easier to see. Something like that is what I did. There it is. All right, so I created one, and then I will just make a copy of that. Control C, Control V, move it over here. So this one I want has to do with Texas Capitol. This one has to do with Zilker Park. And I'll open this up again, and I'm going to change it to number 2, and I'm going to change my color in here. I don't remember exactly what the colors were. I think it's blue, green, and red there. And so that's the second one. These probably don't exactly match what I had in the project template, but it's good enough. And then Ladybird Lake down here, and we'll do number 3. And let's make this blue, and in here, number 3. So all I did was add some objects onto this, and it's really nice because with Capture, it has this extra properties file. So I can come in here way later, months or years later, and I can still make changes to this thing. So I made change. And the other really cool thing is I just made that save. I just saved the changes, and I go back in here, and it's automatically in here. I don't need to reinsert the image or anything. Okay, so I got my image. Now I want to do the image map part. And so what I'm going to do is right click this and select. There's all kinds of things you can select in here, and the image map is what I want. And it brings up this separate editor, right? And let me just kind of get this over in here. And it's a very simple editor. And you can use these options right here to draw shapes on it, which is what you're going to then use to create your links. And so you can draw a circle shape. In mine, all I did was draw rectangles, right? I just did that. And I could have drawn circles around them too, like this. It doesn't matter. You just kind of get close to the thing, and wherever people get over that shape, that's going to provide the link. You're going to be able to have a link for that. And this one right here is just kind of an odd shape thing like this. You can draw an odd shape and do it like that. So even though that's kind of ugly, I'll just go ahead and go with that. So I drew my shapes on here, and now I can go to each one and just double click it. And now it brings up this dialog, and it's saying, okay, where do you want to link this to? And in this field, you have all kinds of options. File and project is, hey, I just want to point to a topic in my project, another one. That's what I'm going to do in this example. But you could do other things. You could link to a place in the same topic, maybe lower down in it if you've got a bookmark in there, an external file, a website, an email. You can open up your email application when people click it so they can send an email, HTML help file, which most people probably won't be using. So you can do that. And then this lets you, choose a bookmark if you've got that also. So this first one, I want to point to topic 2. And the other things that you can do in here down below, you can add screen tips, alternate text, all those things if you want. I'm just going to leave those empty. Now the target frame. You can choose how you want the link to open. In what way? Do you want it to open? The default is the same frame. When people click it, it's just going to switch to that topic, right? It's just going to replace what you have. Some people might like to use new window or tab, just open it up, but open up a new browser tab, and there's the thing I linked to. In the example, in the project template, the e-learning project templates, I used pop-up. And I'm going to talk again about that later on in this video, something to watch out for with that. But you also have parent frame and top frame, which are probably less used. These other ones are the main ones. So I'm going to select pop-up. So I just wanted to, I want a pop-up window when people click that. Now, tab index, when people, if they get onto that topic and they start pressing tab, it will highlight those areas, those hot spots in your image map, and then people can press enter and activate the thing instead of clicking it. And it, by default, it's going to go in order of how I created these. So I created this one first, my square around that, and I did this one second and this one third. But if I happen to, maybe I drew number 2 first, and it's like I want to force this one to be the first one, I would just put in a number 1 in there, but it is going to work because I already drew them in order. And then this one, I'm going to link to topic 2. And again, I'm going to do a pop-up, and I could force it to do, the tab index 2. And this one is 3, and go in there, and I'm going to link to that topic. I'm going to do another pop-up and 3. All right. So I did that. So a few other options in this little editor that you might be interested in. These things over here on the left are really they're just for your internal, your use as you're working in the editor. These things aren't going to show up in the output. Like, you can fade out the image if that helps you when you're looking at your shapes and dealing with that. But again, yeah, that's not going to show up in the output like that. This one right here will show the actual shapes. I already had that on, so you can see where I've drawn. So maybe you want to toggle that on and off when you want to see, oh, this is what the actual image is going to look like to the end user. All right. But when I'm editing in here, I like to have that on. And then this is another thing. It'll fill the shapes. It just makes it a little bit easier to see where your things are, but you don't have to use that. Okay, and then a few other things. If you happen to have shapes overlapping, you can, sync them or float them to the top or bottom. And then this is really nice to have the conditional text option in here. So maybe 1 and 2, you want to be shown in some topics, but not in other topics. Or you want these to always be shown, and maybe number 3 you only want to be shown in some topics or other topics. So you could select number 3 and you could click your conditional text option and select something in here. And I don't really have anything set up, but let's just say, for example, that, and you'd see the little condition thing on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. But you get the idea. You can control which of these shows up under certain circumstances if you're using conditions. All right, so I got that all set up in my little editor. Let me just get that down here so I can click OK. And there it is. There I created my image map. All right, that's pretty much it for creating the image map. We're going to move on to the next section, and we're going to talk about editing the image maps. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is editing an image map. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, but just a couple of things to point out. So let's go back into Flare and let's see what's involved with editing an image map. So you got your image map in here and you go, oh, okay, I want to make changes to it. And so there's making changes to the actual image map itself. That maybe you want to go in and draw other sections or change sections, something like this. And then there's also styles, your style sheet. So first I'm going to talk about going in to your image map in here and dealing with that. So you can come in and right click. And as I said, there are lots of options in here for images. There is image properties. And so that's just going to open up. That would let you go in and deal with the image itself, not the map. So maybe you want to choose a different, actual image or something like that. Then I showed you the edit with MadCap Capture. You could hyperlink the entire image, but we're dealing with an image map here where we have links on different sections. And so we want to choose image map. And by the way, this one lets you remove the image map from it. But we want to go into here, and it just opens up this same editor that we were just looking at. And we've already gone through all these sections. You know how to draw the shapes on here and everything. So that's really all you would do to get in here and just make adjustments. So that is pretty simple. The other thing I want to mention is styles. So remember, this is on an image. So if you look over on the left, you got a paragraph tag, and within that is an IMG tag. That's what's wrapping in it. So people can put styles on the IMG tag or on classes of it. And so that's what I do. I actually have a lot of classes. And one of the real common things to do is to control the size of the image and set maybe a maximum width. That's a best practice. And so I'm just going to right click on this. I'm having trouble with my right click lately on my mouse. Gosh, there it goes. And I'm going to do style class, edit style class. And there it comes up, and I can look in here and see what do I have set in this. And so I am in the advanced view of the style sheet editor. You can see some of the different things that can be set. I've got it set to have a border of none, and these things are just inherited in here. But maybe I want to put a maximum width on all of my images. Again, I create classes of it. I'll add a selector, and I'll have a max width 100%, a max width 90%, so I can control different sizes. In this example, let's just put a max width of 100% on this image in here. So I'm going to come in here, and I can either type in that little add property thing, because I have it set on set properties. If I had it set on all properties, I wouldn't see that little field in here, and I'd just go down and find max width. Or if I have it in group view like this, I'd have to go, I'd have to go find where that thing is. But I can choose, these different settings, these different filters. So you should, if you want to know more about styles, you should check out the series of videos on styles and style sheets. But I'm going to select this set properties. Lets me see what I already have set. I'm going to go back to alphabetical view, and I want to do max width in here. All right. And what do I want it set on? Well, I like to do a percentage. I like to do 100%. So I'm going to type 100 in there. Actually, I can just come in here, and it's 100. And then I choose the unit of measurement, percent, like that. I could have typed that in there too. All right. So I got that. So just so that you know, you can use styles to control different things about the overall image, which is also an image map. There aren't specific styles for the image map itself. It's really the image. So that is a best practice that we tell people is to use max width on things, because one thing that it does is, so if you're generating to, say, a PDF, it'll prevent it from going outside the margins. And if you're doing online, it will be responsive. It will shrink as necessary depending on the screen size. But that actually does present sort of a gotcha, which I'm going to talk about here in the next section, along with a couple of other things. All right, the last thing I want to go through in this video is talk about some things to consider with image maps. And the first thing I want to go through are some things that you're going to see in the e-learning templates, the examples in there, where I actually use conditions and some snippets. And I want to explain what you're seeing in those project templates. So let's go back into Flare for that. Okay, so this is the first e-learning project that template that I was showing you earlier, where I've got the hotspot pop-ups topic, and I've got this image map in here. And this is pretty straightforward. This is pretty much what you saw me just do, except the colors are just a little bit different in there. But if I open up this other, remember, I've got a couple of different e-learning project templates in here. And let me move this over here so I can get to it. All right. I've got, this is the one I just showed you, the e-learning, but I also have this one that's set up for e-learning and PDF. That's the only difference, is one is designed to have just online, one's designed to have online and PDF. Well, when you have image maps, one of the things that I was thinking was, okay, I don't necessarily want people to see that in my PDF. So I wanted to have a variation in this topic. So I'm going to go into that project, and it's pretty much the same except for that difference. And so I'm going to go into this hotspot pop-ups, right? And I'm using a couple of things in here for single sourcing: conditions and snippets, right? And you can see the conditions in here with the blue, and I've got them also in on some of these files in here. So the idea, if I go in and look at my condition tag set in here, I'm just showing you this because you might want to do something similar if you have image maps and you're creating PDF output. So I've got all of these conditions in here, and I've got a couple in here. This one says online only, that's the blue over there, and print only, that's the red. And so the idea is, all right, these topics right here are designed to just be pop-ups. That's their whole purpose, is from this. And so I don't really want those topics to be included in my PDF. And so I put online only conditions on them. I also put an online only condition on this sentence that says, click on the numbered circles on the map to learn about each. And I put a condition on this P tag, which wraps around the image map itself. And I did the online only condition on that too. But down below, I have a whole section that's print only. So you didn't see this in the other project template. It's the same information. It's just presented in a different way. In the online, I'm using the image map, but in the print, I have I've got just subheadings and text and images, but it's the same things that you're going to see in these topics, which are used in the pop-ups. The thing is, all of this content in here, if I hover over it, you're going to see it's a snippet. So I'm not copying and pasting. I'm going to actually right-click this and select Open Snippet File, and there it is. And if I right-click and select Locate and Explore, you can see this is where it's located, that snippet. And I've got snippets for all of these. So that's what I did. I inserted snippets in here in, I have this conditioned out, my image map, and I inserted the snippets down here and applied that condition to each one of those for print only. And then in these other topics, I inserted the condition, or inserted the snippets in here. It's all the content. It's just that snippet, right? And so that's just what I decided to do in this project template. Just wanted to give you that heads up so that you know what you're looking at. And if you happen to use that project template and you get in there for an example of an image map, you understand what I did and why I did it. So that is one thing that I wanted to point out. And another thing to consider has to do with these pop-ups. Let's go back to the basic project that I just created. And you know that when I did created the image map, I selected the pop-ups. I want these to, open up in pop-up windows. Well, here's the thing about that. Those pop-ups, topic pop-ups, they're not supported in all online formats. Okay, so in this particular case, I have an HTML5 target, and I've got some skins in here. And because this is an HTML5 target, it's going to use the skin that I tell it to use, or see, it's set on default, or it will use the first one it comes to, which is side navigation. So here's the thing. Side navigation, top navigation, those HTML5 formats don't support topic pop-ups. So if I were to generate the output from this, this isn't going to work. If I had created my image map so that they just opened up in a different browser tab, that they would work. And so when you go into those e-learning project templates, you're going to notice that these are skinless. So I've got my HTML5 targets in here. If I look in skin, there's a couple of things in here, but these are little skin components. Those aren't main skins, right? And if I open up one of these targets in here and I go to the skins, I have it set to none. So this is technically a skinless output. And so the topic pop-ups work. So that's another FYI for you. If you look at this and you go, oh yeah, I want to do topic pop-ups. Well, you just got to make sure that you're creating an online output that supports that. And fortunately, if you happen to be doing e-learning, a lot of people like to use the skinless approach. So it works well for e-learning. So it will work for that. But if you're creating something where you've got a skin, maybe you've got an online help system and you've got side navigation or top navigation, and you want to do the topic pop-ups, unfortunately, that isn't going to work. So just wanted to give you the heads up on that to save you some grief. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to point out, this gotcha that I kind of mentioned before, had to do with those responsive topics. Okay, so this is or responsive images. So this image in here, this is from one of the e-learning projects, and this image is set. I did the same thing in this that I did in that little basic project where I set the maximum width on the image to 100%, which is best practice. And let's look at this when I generate the output. Oh, it's already open. Let's go look at it in here. It is in here, right? And so if I resize this, okay, right now that's how big it is. And so I'm kind of down to tablet size here, and these will still work, no problem, okay? And I'm getting down. Now what happens is, as soon as I start getting the size of the window so small, because this image is set to a maximum width of 100, it's going to resize automatically, which is really cool. And that's what you usually want. But with image maps, notice that, all right, it's not functioning anymore. That's because that just kind of gets messed up when you've got these responsive images. So what's the solution here? Well, you could, there's a couple of things here. You could, let's go back to the basic project. Oh, the other one's fine. And I like to use that, click home, formatting window, this style inspector. I could go into the full style sheet. And if you want to know more about this style inspector in here, you can check out the style inspector video that I've done. So I'm going to go in here and click on this IMG tag in here where my image is, and you can look over here and go, oh, these are the style settings. And so you can see I've got the max width. Well, if I were to go in and remove that, and that removes it from the style sheet, then that would work, because the image is no longer responsive. So I don't get the responsiveness, but the image maps should work then. Now, there is another option that people prefer, though, because they want the benefit of both. They want the image map to work, and they want the image to be responsive. And so the solution that we recommend is to use this jQuery solution. And what you can do is go into the MadCap software website and click on the search button and just type in responsive image map. Do that. And it should be the first result in here. Yeah, it's right there. You click on that. And this is a blog post that somebody wrote, which is really, really super useful. And it shows you how to implement responsive image maps in HTML5 outputs. And it's going to take you through that and show you how you do this with jQuery. All right. So this, I would recommend, taking a look at this if you want to have both. You want to have the image maps and you want to have responsive images. All right, that is pretty much going to do it for just the things I wanted you to consider before you really get in deep with image maps. There you go, image maps. They're a really cool feature. And you can see that they're really actually pretty simple to create and get all your little shapes in there and your links. It's pretty easy to put together. It's just important that you keep things in mind. If you're going to do this, come up with a plan. What kind of output are you going to create? Do you want things to be responsive? All of that, the more that you can plan in advance, the better it's going to be for you when you create your own image maps. Thank you for watching this video. We'll talk to you next time.